right. Let's bring on our good friend Mike Waters, SU basketball beat writer from Syracuse.com. He was in the house last night.
One of the 16,000.
Yeah, exactly. Mike, let's start with just your reaction, your takeaways from that game last night.
Well, just to be clear, I might have had my butt in a seat, but I did not count towards attendance.
Yes, correct.
I thought it had the game smacked of everything you're used to seeing from a midwinter 9-day layoff game, 9 o'clock start on a snowy night. Very few students, very few fans, no energy at all in the building, and then Adrian Autry let us know after the game that a few of the guys had been under the weather. And it was funny that he said that because during the game, sitting between Brent Axe and Donna DeToto, my two coworkers there, I said, if we find out after the game that Nathan George has had the flu the past few days, I'm not going to be shocked. And then sure enough, Nathan George, after the game, confirmed he's had flu-like symptoms for the last 2 or 3 days. So, yeah, it was just it was a rough game, no energy at all. And this is a team that has to have energy. This is not a team that can just come out and make some threes or run away from people. They've got to play hard. They got to play aggressive defense. They have to attack the basket on offense because there's only a few guys making threes these days. So they're lucky to get away with a win last night.
So, Paulie brought this up. He brought it up on the show yesterday, actually, and he said, can this team not play at a level 5 and still win?
Well,
and we talked about that, and, we saw it last night. That was not a level 5, and, Paulie said it felt like more like a level 3. In a way, is that a positive to come out of last night? That they can see the stark difference now, right? They saw what level 5 did against Tennessee, and they won their biggest game of the season, and then they saw last night what a level 3 is or whatever, and it was a nip-and-tuck game with a middle-of-the-road Atlantic 10 opponent. Is there some positives that can be taken away in that regard that now, Adrian Autry can point to these games and be like, all right, see what the difference is?
Well, that is a true Central New Yorker looking for a silver lining on a gray day.
No, you don't like that?
I suppose, in a way, if you say that, like, Adrian Autry can now point to this game and tell his players, listen, now you see the difference between level 3 and level 5. You had to feel it. We showed it to you. We can show you film. I'm sure some guys are seeing some film today that they're not going to like to look at that shows them not doing their defensive assignments, not being aggressive, not closing out, not boxing out for rebounds, getting out rebounded by 10 by a team like St. Joseph's. I mean, listen, it's okay if you get out rebounded by a handful by Tennessee or 4 by Houston. And, you can stay in those. I mean, you're actually doing pretty well. But in those games on the boards, but to get out rebounded by St. Joe's, no. So yeah, maybe it's in a way, like the coaches can get on these guys and now they have something to show them. But I don't think it's a great thing that the players are figuring out, hey, we can win even at a level 3. It's like, no, you got to bring it. And yeah. I think it'll be a little easier to bring it when they get into ACC competition. Most nights, you won't have these sleepy nights against the non-conference team, but the fact of the matter is they got 4 more of these. They got 4 more non-conference games, and this one on Saturday, they will not win on Saturday against Hofstra if they bring the kind of effort they did last night against St. Joe's.
Yeah, and that was my point.
Yeah.
It's more of a wake-up call last night than it is a good thing that, we won and we didn't play well.
Gotcha.
It's more so, hey, you got to play better because this game shouldn't have been that close. You're right. Tomorrow is a much tougher opponent in Hofstra, a team that just beat Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh. What do you make of this opponent that they're going to see tomorrow evening at 4 o'clock?
They're a tough little team, typical of their coach, Speedy Claxton, former Hofstra star, former NBA player, and now he's got some kids playing for him. The one kid, Cruz Davis, reminds me a lot of Speedy in a way. High volume scorers, gets a lot of their possessions go to him. 20 points per game, ranks in the top 50 in the country in scoring. He's a kid who started his college career 2 years ago at Iona under Rick Pitino and then followed Pitino to St. John's. Didn't get a whole lot of playing time at St. John's last year, so now he's at Hofstra, and he's great. He's scoring a lot. They had a freshman point guard who's also very good. So, those 2 guys, and they got a couple bigs. William Kyle, again, is going to be going up against a 2-headed monster here. They got a kid from Spain, 6'10", about 235, and then they got a kid from Ireland whose name I absolutely love, Silas Sunday. 7 feet tall, 280 pounds, guys. So William Kyle better bring his big boy pants tomorrow. He's going to be going up against some guys with some real girth.
Steve, I'm a big fan of.
I know you are.
Did you know that, Mike? What do you think of Syracuse's offense? Everybody in the chat and our callers are not happy with the way Syracuse plays offense. Are you struggling? Do you think the offense is struggling? Is it ISO ball? What is your take on Syracuse's offense?
Sometimes it's ISO ball because sometimes you attack a matchup you like. And if you watch other college basketball teams, they do the same thing. Now, there are some other college basketball teams who have a lot more intricate offenses and run them very, very well. But they often have players who are better offensive type players. And you want to set up those guys for shots. I think Syracuse's offense, too, right now is struggling with the absence of Donnie Freeman. They've managed on the boards, and they've done quite well on the defensive end without Donnie. But Donnie's going to help this team when he comes back on the offensive end of the floor. He gives them a guy who can get his shot. He makes that ISO ball look a little bit better, when you get him the ball in his spot and he's able to shoot over just about anybody who's guarding him. He'll shoot the ball from three. He wasn't shooting it great in the first 4 games this year, but he shot it well last year. You would think once he comes back and knocks off some of the rust, he helps there. He spreads the floor, and also some of that ISO game, which J.J. Starling wanted to get to the basket, looks a little better because the floor has more gaps. He can create more. So I think they'll be okay. But this team's going to live and die on the defensive end. And I think that's why after almost every single game, Adrian Autry comes in and talks about effort and energy and level 5.
What did you make of JJ's game last night? I don't know if he was one of the sick ones last night, but it felt to me like last night was a game you can't get out of a senior. Make him you're on a run, you make a behind the back pass that leads to to them getting going on a 5-0 run. It seemed like he was not quite where he needed to be as a senior right now.
I think he didn't appear to be locked in mentally, whereas a few other guys seemed to be a little sluggish physically. I think JJ, he just wasn't locked in mentally from the game and making some mistakes. And you mentioned that behind the back pass on the break when you'd already kind of started a little bit of run and this was kind of good and maybe you're going to take control here. It would be a great time in the first, and then you're right, led to 5 straight points by St. Joe's and you're back in a battle again. It was like, first of all, behind the back passes on the fast break, boy, you better be accurate with them. And the second one is you don't throw a behind the back pass to a William Kyle. That's the guy you just lob the ball to the rim for and let him go get it, because that's where a big guy wants the ball. Big guy wants the ball up high, not down low, from his waist down. So, so a couple of mistakes on one pass there by JJ, and I'm sure when he sees the film, he's going to be one of those guys who's not going to like to look at part of it, and that's going to be a segment he won't love. But I tell you what, he made a couple of big buckets down the stretch last night when they were still in that dogfight. His patented drives to the basket, put the ball up high off the glass. And, I like that move even more this year than I did last year, because if he misses that, you got a guy this year who can come in and clean that up. And William Kyle, we saw 1 or 2 tip slams and follow dunks from William Kyle again last night. And man, that kid has been so much better than expectations for Syracuse this year. I mean, he's got his second double-double of the season last night. And when nobody else really seemed, willing to go after the basketball on the rebound last night, he got 11 really critical rebounds.
You brought up JJ getting to the basket. When Syracuse went on the run to take the lead and stay ahead, it seemed like everybody was getting to the basket. Did you see something that was being done differently there? Were they screening better? What did you see when they were able to get to the basket in the second half?
I think they finally realized, you know what, guys, we got a lot of matchups here, and our guys can't stop us. Why are we messing around, throwing the ball and around and trying to get a 3 or something? I mean, unless it's Tyler Betsy taking it, go. Just, sometimes it's informative to watch an NBA game. And in an NBA game, they don't mess around. If one guy has an advantage, they will go to that guy until the other coach either changes the matchup or takes that guy off the floor. And sometimes college, kids don't do that. College coaches don't emphasize that. And then for a short time last night, all of a sudden, you saw guys going to the basket. And I think it's because they realized, you know what, they can't actually guard us, guys, one-on-one. J.J. Starling can get to the basket. Nate Kings can get to the basket. And even Nate George got a couple of drives. So, what wasn't working last night was matchups like, Sadiq White's not a really strong offensive player, and I think he might have been under the weather too. Couldn't tell. His numbers would indicate it. And William Kyle isn't a guy you go to. So, Kyan Anthony was having a terrible night. So, and again, unless it was Tyler Betsy and you try to get him open for a three, the answer last night was put the ball on the ground and go.
Mike, you look at the problems with this team right now, or the weaknesses. Free throw shooting for sure. That doesn't look like it's going to get much better. That it's going to be a problem all season long. 3-point shooting has been an issue, and rebounding has been an issue. What is fixable? Among those three areas during the season? Red talked last night about, the guards got to help out more on the glass. And is it as simple as that, or do you think rebounding is going to continue to be an issue for this team?
I think we'll watch the rebounds, and I wrote about it today, so I have to, a mea culpa there. I asked if rebounding is an issue. And in the story, it's like, okay, yeah, there's been a couple games where they haven't rebounded particularly well, but their bad rebounding numbers overall are really skewed by the one game against Kansas, where Kansas pounded them. I think they had 20 more rebounds than Syracuse. But when you look at games like Iowa State, Houston, and Tennessee, even though Syracuse was out-rebounded in each of those games, it was by 4, 1, and 5, I think. Maybe, it was by a manageable number. You're okay on the boards if you're only getting beat by Houston by 4. Iowa State by 1. So I think actually they'll be okay on the boards as long as they bring more effort than they did last night. And also, Donnie Freeman's a good rebounder. And when Donnie Freeman comes back, I think they'll still continue to rebound well, and maybe even better because, now when you take him off the court, you got a guy like Sadiq White who's gotten some playing time lately and probably will play off the bench with more confidence than he might have if he had just been off the bench for the entirety of this, first 9 games here. 3-point shooting, I think we've seen some signs that they can get better. I mean, last night they didn't shoot as many threes as they usually do, but they were 6 of 14. That's a good percentage. So, that helps. You got to get from where they were a couple days ago when it was like 28 or 29% from 3 and get it into the low to mid 30s as a team. And I think they can get there again. Donnie Freeman, maybe. Nate Kings is starting to show some signs, now that we're going to see the shooter that he was at, that he was at Oregon State last year when he was 44% 3-point shooter. He's been bopping around down around 25% so far this season, but last night he goes 3 for 5. That's terrific. So a few other guys just got to make 1 or 2. If you're getting 2 or 3 from Tyler Betsy and Nate Kings, then it's okay if JJ, Nate George, and Kyan Anthony hit just 1 apiece, and you'll get the numbers you need for made threes, and you'll be okay. You're enough of a threat as a team from the perimeter to create stuff inside. Free throw shooting. Oh, Lord have mercy, fellas. It doesn't get better. They are the worst free throw shooting team in the entire country. Out of 365 Division I teams, as of this morning, they're dead last. And I think you can get a little better. I think, guys like Tyler Betsy and Nate Kings should not be a combined 2 of 10 from the free throw line. Those guys have nice shooting forms. They should make shots. I think it's mental with them. Nate George needs to get to the line more than he did last night. He's only twice. Needs to get to the line more. Kyan Anthony needs to change whatever he's doing in practice. It's not helping. He's a guy who's got a good shooting stroke, and his free throw shooting's really bad. And I don't know whether it's confidence with him because he's only a freshman. I haven't seen enough of him, but whatever he's doing in practice, I would completely change it. I don't know what it is. I would just let's just throw a shock to him, and like we're practicing free throws a different way, and guess what? It's going to work. I don't know what it doesn't matter what you do with him. I would just do something different because he should be shooting a whole lot better than where he is right now, which I believe is in the 50s. I don't have my stats next to me right now, so I can't tell you exactly.
Played this game with Matt Park yesterday. I'll play it with you. Last minute of the game, and you got to get 5 guys on the court because you need free throws made. What's your lineup for Syracuse?
It's purely free throw.
Yeah. So yeah,
Well, you're up by you're up by 2 or 3.
Two or three, and you're going to get fouled.
Okay.
You're in a game.
I'm going to have Nate George on the floor because I like his veteran experience, and I think he can make a free throw. J.J. Starling, I'll still put him out there, and I know he's in the 60s, but given the roster we're looking at, he's one of your better options. So I'll put him out there. Donnie Freeman's healthy. Donnie Freeman's on the floor. He's your best free throw shooter. I'll put Donnie Freeman out there. Nate Kings, and you just hope he's not still mystified by the dome. I mean, he mentioned that last night and when he was talking to Donna DeToda. And then after that, I mean, I suppose Tyler Betsy or, Luke Fennell's a good free throw shooter. I mean,
just not get fouled.
Can you put Luke in? It's like, put Luke Fennell in. If it's just a matter where they're going to foul you, put him in. He'll make a free throw for you.
All right. Mike, good stuff as always. We love having you on.
Tough game.
It is a tough game. That's the point. All right, Mike, be well. We'll see you inside the Dome tomorrow night.
All right, guys. You have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, 4 o'clock tip between Syracuse and Hofstra tomorrow. We'll take a timeout here. We will check in on the market. We will wrap up hour number 1 next on ESPN Radio.